Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's December 9th, 2021, and I was able to grab some video footage shot mostly from the GoPro cameras starting back in at the end of October. I believe this was recorded on October 28th, 2021. And what I'm doing right now is I'm using Mini-Me, Thea's small Kubota B2601 tractor, and bringing out some of the cardboard that Thea brings home from work just a couple times a week. And I'm laying that on top of some of the wood chip area that actually has had lots of weeds coming up in it in the area along the fencing there. The area that I'm actually standing on right now is the area and driving on is the area where all of the nursery stock was put over this past season, the 2021 spring, summer, and fall season, where all of the fig trees and all the berry bushes, potted plants were. So I got those up, and we started getting rain just a few days before this, but boy, we've gotten lots of rain since then, and now we got snow-covered ground out there right now. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking open the boxes. We got lots of broken down boxes already, and just covering up every square inch of the areas where I'm concerned about the weeds. Now there are some plants along in there, and you can see the piles of wood chips right up alongside the fence. And right now I'm using Hulk, the Takuchi TL12 V2 track loader or track skid steer. And I'm bringing wood chips from up front where the wood chip service brought us the wood chips. So I'm covering up the cardboard right now, and I'll go around with my pitchfork or garden fork and go ahead and smooth some of that out in a little while. But as I'm driving back and forth on this soft, broken down wood chip dark soil that you see there, that's all gradually starting to get stirred up, and then the rain as it comes. So I've had to do a lot of work repairing the area that I'm driving on right now. So it's been a bit of a hassle. So a lot of the fig trees that you saw before that were along the fence line. So right now you can see some of the trees. They've lost most of their leaves, but there's elderberry bushes that I'm going around right now. Trees right next to me where I'm standing there moving the wood chips, and just trying to take down some of the mounds and covering up all the cardboard as best as I can. Right up along the margin between where I'm standing with the wood chips and the soil that's broken down is are a whole variety of pussy willow small trees that created from hardwood cuttings, and curly willows as well. Right there, the green that you see around my feet, those are fig trees, and to the left as well. Now I'm coming up with Elon, the Takuchi TB290, and I'm digging up a few of the black locust trees there. So I'm setting those to the side for right now. And I'm going to use the excavator to help me bring up the elderberry plants that are located right in this area. So right now you can see the extensive roots. So these are just over a year and a half old. At this point, these elderberry bushes. So they're just, all the roots are intertwined because they're planted so close together. So using Elon with a 3-foot bucket, I can really reach down in there, loosen up all the soil, and do as little damage to the roots and to the trunks of these bushes as do as little damage as possible. So by getting them up and getting them piled, I actually cover them up and leave them overnight, and I work on the rest of the area to try and get things ready for healing in the plants. So those plants that we get too early in the spring, or they're planted too close together by the end of the fall, we want to get out of the ground, give them a haircut, and get them back into the ground, and we call that healing in. So we can really closely group plants together to withstand prolonged periods between times that we can get them in the ground, planting them in the springtime, or we can put them in the fall, and the roots will develop some over the fall, but it'll basically be beneficial to the plants, and we can reduce the amount of space that they occupy. So right now I'm getting some more wood chips and just spreading them out over the area where the plants were planted down in here and getting ready to heal in a variety of different plants. So we'll be healing in elderberry plants, we'll be healing in persimmons trees, female persimmons trees, and we'll be healing in some black currants as well, and I'll be starting some hardwood cuttings. So you'll see some footage for some of the things that I'm doing here, but by using the Hulk, that's the track loader that I'm using right now, and I'm pushing some of the wood chips right up against the potted plants. There'll be some audio recording coming up here describing what I do with some of the elderberry plants as far as pruning, giving them haircuts and all, and getting them back into the ground. So that'll be coming up pretty shortly here. But each piece of equipment really helps out an awful lot when I'm doing this work, getting things prepped for fall. And now I'm just smoothing out some of the soil there. And then we're going to go ahead and get some of these elderberry plants processed so that I can go ahead and get them into the ground. So right now I'm giving them a bit of a haircut now. I'll slow down in a second and talk about just this process that I go through, pruning them and getting rid of extended roots just aren't too good for getting them in and healing them in over the winter. So here we go. Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 29th, 2021, and it's fall, and we had a very light frost the night before last. Not much of a frost, but 34 degrees and a little bit of crispiness to some of the delicate leaves. And so one of the things I'm doing in the fall time is getting all of my my plants ready to survive the winter. So like over in this area, I have the thornless blackberry bushes, and I have a few different trees there. These are potted. I'll be pushing up the wood chips around the outer edges there. I've been working on that process. I've also done the same thing. I talked about these berry bushes the other day. I mound up the wood chips on either side just to give them a little bit more moisture retention around the roots and some protection from the big deep freezes before the snow comes. Once the snow buries all of these, it isn't as much of an issue. But yesterday I came over here and I've been working on this area, and I had elderberry bushes planted all over in here and some black locust trees that were volunteers that I dug up right up over here as well. So the elderberry plants, I went ahead and piled them up over here, covered them up overnight, and now I'm getting them ready for healing them in. So before I start the healing in process, and you spell healing H-E-E-L-I-N-G. So what we're trying to do is put the plants to sleep for the winter months, or if in the springtime, if you get an order of bushes or trees that are bare root and you don't have a chance to get them in the ground right away, the thing to do is to heal them in. But before I can heal them in, I have to process them. So I got these out of the ground yesterday. It is a bit windy yesterday and a little bit windy today. Here are some of the ones I already did do. And what I do is I basically prune off everything down to a set of nodes right here. And you can see there were two nodes. This is all internodal area here, the space between where leaf buds were coming out, and they sent out roots in both of these locations. So this has to get buried to about this depth. And what we'll do is we'll do a mass burial in a sense of all of these elderberry plants. So we'll use very loose soil planted around them, and so what I'm doing is giving them a haircut right now, so you can see some branches and roots here, and I'll just show you an example. So some trees and some bushes really get massive. So here's one here. So we've got roots that came out here at this node. It looks like it did have some plants up here. What I'm going to do is just prune this off now. So here's a node here, so the leaves will come out right there next season. Here's another node there. I'm going to prune it off here. Probably prune this off here. I don't want anything green on these. That's the original stick that was there. So this can get buried all the way up to here, depending on the soil that they got. But also, these elderberries plants send out really massive, extensive roots. So we don't need the roots getting all tangled up in our pots or in our soil, wherever we're going to put them. So we give the roots a bit of a haircut as well. Now this one's ready to get healed in. So I'm just putting them in the wheelbarrow for right now. All right. So here's a good example. Let me go ahead and prune this one off some first. So there's a node right here. I'm going to go ahead and prune this off right here. And toss these bigger ones off to the side because I may propagate those. I don't know yet. And I'm going to go ahead and prune this off right here. Prune this off here. That's a node right there. And another node right here. And I don't want that one going off to the side. And you could see it was buried up to this level, so this started shooting this up. So this will be a really big bush, but trying to dig a hole big enough for all of these roots and all, what I'm going to do is just gather them up, set it here on its side. You can see the roots really get quite large on these, and that's pretty good. I'll probably prune it again before I transplant it or whatever. So a lot of these plants I'll put on Facebook today or tomorrow to try and see if I could sell some of these. But let's look at this. So this is right at ground level where this was. I'm going to prune that off, prune this old stump off. I'm going to prune it back down to this node. And right here at these nodes. So that's the tops off now. Now this is an awful lot to stick in the ground. So this from here down needs to go in the ground. So there's a couple things I can do. I can go ahead and cut this off right here. So now this isn't so bad to stick in the ground. Okay, so that's pruned enough. It doesn't have to have a really deep hole for that plant. Now we have this, which was another root section. If this is planted, what will likely happen, not guaranteed, what will likely happen is right at this crown here, new shoots will come up in the springtime. So this is another elderberry plant that just came out of that one hardwood cutting that developed over time. So here's another one, really deep roots. I'm going to come back here, nice nodes right there. Prune that off. Set that one to the side, prune this off. And you can see just how extensive these roots are. So I'm just going to come back here, gather them all up, give it a bit of a haircut. Quite a bit of extra root there. So that'll make a much easier plant. Now, by healing this in and putting it in nice loose soil, what will end up happening is the roots will start to grow during the winter months. So let's see what else we got here. All right, so I'm going to prune this one off here. The old thing off here. This root is damaged. So not as robust to roots and all on this one, but this can still grow into a beautiful plant. And see how long some of these roots are. So that's what we're left with. Leave this part above the ground and it'll grow a beautiful elderberry plant. here's another good size one here. So I'm going to go ahead and first off prune off all these dead shoots. Prune this one off here. Prune this one off here. So that's a nice node that'll shoot up there in the springtime. And then get rid of that. Take all these roots, gather them up, bundle them up. Time for a haircut. So that's it. So that'll end up being a pretty nice elderberry plant. Okay, it's pretty windy out here right now. What I've done is I've gone up to our persimmons tree, the female persimmons tree, which it has been sending up suckers next to the tree. So what I did was I went up with Elon, the TB290, the Takushi excavator, and I just went up there and scraped and pulled out some of those superficial roots of these persimmons that have been popping up this year. The deer came through, I heard this last week, came through and ate all of the leaves off of the units. You could see I've gone through and hacked off where the roots expand out to the sides. And here's one here I didn't get back in the ground. So you could see where the roots were. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some mycorrhizal fungi, which should help to extend the root surface area. I'm just going to try and put them down in close proximity to where the roots are. These are an arbuscular or ones that get incorporated into the root system. Of course, I've been stepping on these things this morning. And I just went ahead and used Elon to go ahead and just push a little trough here, a little ditch, so that I could take some of the aged manure, horse manure, that I got from a neighbor about a month ago. Maybe it's 2 months ago, I can't remember right now. And so what this will allow me to do is take some nice loose soil that's pretty well decomposed. Some of this stuff is 2 years old, this manure. And I did trim off all the extra leaves. I could see there's a few that I left there. But now I'll go ahead and take some of this soil, deposit it on top of these roots, and we'll see. This time of year, one of the things I want to do is to go ahead and do our transplants. And the second important thing that's important to do is to go ahead and do healing in. So like I already got the elderberries all pruned out, the roots over there. So healing them in just means that we're going to cover up the roots. We can keep them in close proximity. No way that I want this many persimmons trees right next to each other. But my thought is we'll see next season just how well they develop their roots, and then I can always bring them back up. Yes, will I damage some of the roots? Yes, but it'd be more beneficial to have something that's really viable. Sorry about the winds here. That I know is very viable, so that I can go ahead and sell them or transplant them into the locations that I want to put these trees. This is a female tree, and I've got plenty of males around as well, so this is certainly worth the trying this. And there's all different sizes from 2 feet tall to almost 6 feet tall here. So we'll see how this works. Okay, so now I'm just taking some of that aged horse manure and depositing that. It ends up going on both sides of the roots. I know it doesn't look, it looks like there's so little soil there. Then I start to stand them up some as the soil is more around each side of the root mass themselves, and then try to restand them up again. Really important to get the mycorrhizal fungi down there, so that will help there's a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship with the roots of the trees that we use the mycorrhizal fungi with, that will enhance the roots' ability to get the resources to grow and develop. And I think that'll help. We use that when we put the trees in the ground, when we ultimately transplant them, but I think it also helps out a lot here. So here's the technique I use with Elon, just coming over here with the bucket, pulling back an area that I'm going to head and deposit some more decomposing horse manure into this spot. This horse manure has not been composted like in all my videos that you've seen. This hasn't been through the composting system. It's decomposed, meaning that it didn't hit the temperatures to destroy the seeds, the weed seeds. It didn't get the temperatures to destroy all pathogens. It didn't get to the temperature to destroy some of the persistent herbicides as well. But I'm taking a gamble with it here. And these are all of the elderberry plants that I just gave haircuts to. So you can see they're really closely together. And then I'm just coming up and using some of the soil, depositing it right on top of them. Can the trunks get buried underneath the soil as well over the winter months? Yes, these elderberries would do just fine. We don't want them to sit there forever and grow because all of the roots will become intertwined with each other. So it's important to try and get them out of the ground before they start leafing out in the springtime as well. Hopefully I'll be able to get to that. Now I'm getting another spot ready here. I've done a few more times, but at least you'll see this what I'm doing here. I'm bringing some soil in. Want to get some soil into the base of these little trenches that I dig. Then I go and get the plants. So then I went and got some 6-year-old black currant plants. So these are full-sized bushes that I've gone ahead in a different spot of the property. I've gone ahead and dug those up and already pruned off some of the roots. Some of the roots are a good 3 feet long on these black currant plants that you'll see in just a moment. So I'm taking these down, laying them down. And of course, the black currants, it takes them a while to lose their leaves, so you can see some green leafy material on them. And just coming down, getting them laid right tight to each other. You'd never want to plant these plants so close together. I think there's 7 of these black currants that I've got that are this size. So these are ones that I'm going to want to either transplant in the springtime or sell in the early springtime. But there you can get a little bit of an idea. I didn't get the best camera angles here to show you just how well developed these plants are. So these ones here can produce a couple gallons potentially of black currants easily each season. So and they're very nutritious, black currants are. So you see Mini-Me to the side there, that's the small tractor. You've seen I've used the Hulk, that's the track loader, and Elon. Without these pieces of equipment, I wouldn't be able to accomplish nearly as much as I can accomplish in a couple of days' time. They're really beneficial for me to get things done. There's some more of the aged horse manure there, so I'm going to get on the Hulk right now and go ahead and deposit some of the some of the aged horse manure on top of those roots. So it is somewhat of a crude operation getting things healed in, but as long as you wait until the plants have gone into a dormant stage, this is a very safe thing to do. But it is important to make sure that the plants are dormant. You can give them haircuts. You can prune these plants right down. Before I would sell these plants in the springtime, typically one of the things I would do is prune the tops back quite a bit as well. So the higher the ratio of good root development compared to surface area of the leaf bulk that will be there because of transpiration, the loss of moisture through the atmosphere. You do want to have them have leaves so that they can do photosynthesis, but during the first season you don't want too much of the of the plant above ground. So definitely pruning them back a little bit of a ways helps out an awful lot. And so this is a process that I go through each fall time. Before this, I transplanted a whole bunch of trees around different places on the property. The blueberry bushes, I got a lot of those transplanted as well. And you can see I'm just going to go ahead and feed in between, making sure all the roots are covered. It would be fine to go ahead and put lots of wood chips. I had planned on putting more wood chips on the surface of this as well, but I just didn't get around to it, and I ran out of wood chips as well. So that's about it for this video, folks. I just wanted to share some of the things I did in October, and I hope you found this video of some value. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Feel free to leave any comments or questions. And by all means, folks, stay safe, take good care of yourselves, and enjoy this beautiful winter we're going to have, hopefully, this coming season. Take care, and bye-bye now.